Hello everybody, it's Fung here again. Today we're going to be talking about how to get out of debt. And again, the information here is sourced from the book The Truth About Money by Rick Edelman. So getting started, the first trick is to avoid getting into debt in the first place. So let's talk about that first. Well, first thing here is you shouldn't spend tomorrow's income today, right? So many people make financial decisions today that haunts them in the future. So for example, this can include financing expensive cars, buying expensive homes, or overusing credit cards. Whenever you do these things, you're locking up your income because you're guaranteeing that you're going to pay something in the future, right? Especially when you finance an expensive car, right? You pay the down payment. Then in the far future, you're going to be paying a lot worth of those payments, right? Tomorrow's income is locked in because of what you did today, right? So doing this commits your money. If you spend money that you already have, you wouldn't fall into this trap. Next is that expenses should be adjustable over time. You want to keep your fixed expenses as low as possible. You want to avoid a lot of the buy now, pay later expenses, right? Especially in today's age, you could finance the most trivial things like a DoorDash order or something like that, or online shopping. You can pay over time. I think that's ridiculous because that way, again, back to what we just said earlier, you're locking up a lot of your future income off of what you did today, and that's just so insane to me. So if your income or lifestyle changes, you want to be able to handle the change financially. So if you have a lot of things that are locked into the future, you're not going to be able to change that, right? But if you have it fixed, then you can change that. So we get so used to our current spending habits that if income or lifestyle changes or a change happens in that, our spending catches up to us, and there's not much that you can do if you get stuck like that. So when your circumstance changes, so should your spending. So next is getting out of debt is like losing weight, okay? So when you eliminate something, that vacuum has to be filled. That's just like a principle in nature, right? If there's a vacuum of air, as soon as there's a little hole, a ton of air is gonna shoot right out and fill in that vacuum, right? So people who start dieting and exercising reward themselves with cheat meals, right? There's cheat meals because they wanna fill that vacuum, that void of missing out on it. So people who try to eliminate debt by not spending reward themselves by shopping, right? By shopping, saying, oh, I can finally spend now. I rewarded myself for getting out of debt or not spending so much. I can go shopping. That's so bad for you. And first of all, getting out of debt is the wrong goal here to set and to actually get out of debt, okay? Saying getting out of debt. And we're going to talk about that. So here are 4 steps to setting goals. So the first step is to set a positive goal for yourself. You want to say, I will save to buy a home because that's positive. You don't want to say, I will not spend money because that is negative. Because when you focus on the positive, you're going to forget that you're not spending money, which is the negative, right? So next is to set a date for achieving your goal. Setting a date gives us a deadline to accomplish our goals, right? Because life can just get so busy that you can easily forget your goals without a deadline because the world is full of distractions. With technology nowadays, social media, everything's just trying to get your attention. So you have to stay focused on your goal. So you should set a date. And you want to make sure that your date is attainable but not pointless. So you don't want it too close where it's just like, wow, you can't even make that goal. But you don't want it too far where it just becomes pointless and that the date becomes worthless, right? So third step is to write down your goal. Until you see your goal in front of you, it is not real, right? You want to keep reminding yourself of your goal. Write it down on your mirror. Write it down somewhere, I don't know, write it down on your door so you can keep on seeing your goal and just remind yourself that you got to work on it. Fourth is to stay focused. Keep your goal in front of you. You want to immerse yourself in your goal because if you immerse yourself, you're going to forget about the sacrifices that you make and you're going to focus on the benefits that you'll derive while reaching your goal, right? As long as you stay focused. So next, we're going to talk about starting your debt-free journey. It's going to be a long journey, guys. So first is understanding where you are with your debts. You want to know exactly how much you owe and whom you owe it, right? So you can use a paper, spreadsheet, or program. You want to write down these 4 things, okay? First is the name of each creditor. Next is the amount that you owe that creditor. Third is the interest rate each is charging you. And fourth is the minimum payment you must make each month. Now you want to organize them in order by highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. We're saying interest rate, guys, okay? Interest rate. That's the third one that we have on this list, right? Interest rate. That's very important. So let's talk about management before elimination. So do not add to your debts while working on eliminating them, right? Clearly. And so first thing you want to do is pay the minimum monthly payment to all of your creditors. And otherwise, like if you don't do this, a note is going to be on your credit report if you make a failure to pay, and that's going to haunt you in the future. And then after you pay the minimum on all your creditors, you're going to use all your remaining money to pay the creditor with the highest interest rate, okay? The highest interest rate is what's causing the most bleeding, right? And it's more important than the highest balance. A lot of people believe, oh, I have to pay off the highest balance. That's untrue. You have to pay the highest interest rate because that's what's making you go into more debt even quicker, right, than the rest of them. Next is to empty your bank account. That sounds crazy, but just hear me out, okay? So you're going to withdraw money from the bank and send it to the creditor at the top of your list with the highest interest rate. And you have to understand that money in the bank sits and hardly grows while your debt is growing significantly faster. And a lot of you are thinking, oh, well, if I close my bank account, I won't have any money left. You already don't have any money, okay? You don't have any money already. You're in debt. And the whole point of a credit card is to use cash that you don't have at the moment in moments like emergencies, right? So now when you're doing this, you also want to liquidate all other assets you have to pay off your debts. So bonds, stock, funds, and collectibles, any kinds of things, that assets that you can liquidate, you should probably do that. But do not liquidate IRA or company retirement accounts. Those are for your retirement. Keep those safe, okay? Keep on funding those if you can. Do not, take and liquidate those out. Next is to get out of debt by getting into debt. That sounds crazy, but hear me out again. So you want to borrow money provided that the amount that you borrow is not more than your total amount of debts, and that the interest rate is lower than the interest rate of your current debt. Because you're essentially refinancing your debt, right? You're reducing the interest rate on your current debt. I know I keep saying debt, but let's just say that your interest rate right now is 15%. Then you want to open or borrow money that has maybe like a 5% interest rate, let's just say. Because that way you can pay off all those old ones, get rid of all the old interest rates, and now you have to deal with the 5%, which is much more manageable. Next is to focus on the cause, and that's you, okay? You are the cause of your debt. Think in percentages rather than dollars, because percentages helps put things into perspectives. So let's look at this. So where does your money go? Well, first, about a third of your money goes to taxes, then about a quarter or more goes to housing, and then this ranges for a lot of people. It could be 10 to 20% goes to food, and then that leaves you with about 21% left that you still need to buy clothing, transportation, insurance, utilities, recreation, and etc. Right? There's so much more that you have to spend, and you only have a portion of your income left. So the thing is, you make plenty of money. You make enough money to be financially successful for the most cases if you have a full-time job. You just make bad decisions, right? Like you're probably spending your tax refunds and whatnot, or you're upgrading your lifestyle when you get an increase in income, which is terrible for you, because this way you're forced to maintain that income stream to keep paying the new financial obligations of your new lifestyle, right? You get a new car, upgrade your house, or buy new luxurious things. Well, then now you have to maintain your income if you want to keep those things. And when you do this, you can't save that money or use it for other purposes in the future since your money is locked up. Remember, we talked about locking up our money in the beginning. So what you want to do is track your expenses. You need to know where your money is going so you can stop it from going there, right? So there's two ways to track them. The first is, it's a lot rougher, but it is quicker, and it's to go through your history of all your transactions. Review your past credit card statements for the past 6 months. Okay, all of them. Track them all down of what you've been spending. And that's going to be like maybe 3 whole days of just hard work of just scrolling through or doing whatever, looking at your receipts and whatnot. Or the other method is to just track what you're doing now and record your expenses for the next 6 months. 6 months is very important, guys, because that's a more broad enough time frame for you to actually track what your expenses truly are. Monthly is not enough. 6 months is. And when you're tracking your expenses, you want to use either paper, spreadsheet, or program to track them. And here are the main categories. There's going to be household, transportation, insurance, savings, health, medical, debt services, recreation, legal and accounting, gifts, charitable, miscellaneous, and unexpected. There's a lot of these categories. So you want to break down these categories further if needed. Like, for example, household can be broken down into rent, utilities, internet, food. You just want to be consistent, okay? So we're going to show an example here. There's an example of this table, right? So on the left you have paid to, the person that you owe, right, or the person that you're paying. Next is the amount, right? That's the sum of all these things. And then there's food, clothes, gifts, auto travel, all these categories. Just pause, take a look, and understand what we're doing here. Essentially, we're breaking down how much we're spending in each category. So for example, on the bottom, you can see food, 20% of it goes to food, 25% goes to clothes, 31% goes to auto, and whatnot. We're just breaking down our expenses. So the truth about budgeting, according to Rick Edelman, okay, is that you're probably wondering about budgeting because I keep on talking about tracking your expenses. And Rick Edelman says that you should forget about it because budgeting is tedious and ineffective because they only reflect how you think you'll spend your money, not how you actually spend your money. So when you track your spending, it reveals where your money is going. And then from there, you can set your goals and fix it, right? So you have two unexpected expenses that you probably don't realize, right? First is repairs. They happen all the time, one after another. Once you finish off paying one, a new one pops up, and they're unexpected yet periodic. So like, let's just say, oh, you gotta fix your roof, it's leaking or something, or now your car breaks down and you need maintenance on that. It happens all the time. This is also why we said you have to track within the 6 months rather than 1 month, because when you have that 6-month period, you can most likely catch one of these repairs. And then for these repairs, you want to set aside enough money to prepare for this. The second unexpected thing are gifts, because everyone experiences the obligation and guilt to give gifts, and it's hard to overcome that, right? You should not feel bad for not giving gifts if you're in a rough spot financially. Your friends or family or whatever should understand that you're not doing so well financially and understand that you should not be giving gifts and that you should focus on working on yourself. And this is also why the rich get richer, because they keep doing what makes them rich, while the poor get poor because they keep doing what makes them poor, right? They keep on buying gifts even though they're in a bad financial spot and whatnot. And almost all expenses are optional, okay? Club memberships, entertainment, telephone bills, internet, clothes, the non-essential ones. Clearly you need clothes. And then food, like eating out to eat, is non-essential. And you haven't truly tried out to get out of debt without showing humility. So, recapping everything that we learned. First is to take steps and precautions to avoid getting into debt. Then is to set effective goals. Following that, you want to just follow the steps to get out of debt that we mentioned here and understand the two unexpected expenses and prepare for them, right? And lastly is to realize that many of your expenses are optional. Just truly think about it. If you really wanted to get out of debt, you would try. So that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, do what you will. You guys are not obligated to do so. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.